So, Tulsa King episode 4. Some surprises. Some definite not surprises. There's some big surprises. And some... some very good character development. Sorry, I just had a chocolate chip cookie. Anyway. Fix my camera angle here. Yeah, it looks okay. So, the 4th episode, I was kind of expecting Dwight to go back to the ranch. And I do apologize. I will be throwing spoilers in. I've realized at this point that this show is quite old. Or at least a couple of months old. And I would recommend that if you haven't seen the episode, don't watch my video, my review, until afterwards, because I can't make any promises about spoilers. But there was a surprise. There was a definite further surprise after that. And then there was a slightly larger surprise. And then a really big surprise all together. Or the last two were together. And I'll try to keep this fairly spoiler-free at this point. But some of the things that Dwight is doing, some of the actions that he's taking, they don't jive really. Or jibe, I should say. Jibe or jive? I'm not sure which that is. I think it's jibe. But they don't really jibe with what you would expect from a typical gangster type. Which isn't surprising. This guy has not been a typical gangster type all the way along. But it starts off with a pretty expectable gangster type move. Where the individual from the subplot, Manny, gets confronted. He expects to die. There's a couple of points where I honestly expected Dwight to kill him. And it didn't happen. Kind of surprising. But even more surprising, or rather not really all that surprising, when you do a bit of post hoc thinking about it, or post facto. I think it's post facto. I'm not having a great day with my linguistics. Or my linguistic devices, as it were. But, in any case, at first it was kind of surprising to me that he didn't just kill Manny for trying to kill him. Manny was the guy who shot at him while he was taking his driving test. But what's actually ended up happening is that okay. This episode has a lot of growth, and a lot of character growth, and some surprising character twists. There's the briefest moment, again, of a bit of woke flirtation, and it's immediately shut down. Tyson, the young black fella, the one who's driving for Dwight, starts to kind of try to play the victim a little bit, and his father, an older black fella, Mark, immediately shuts him down. You don't get to play the victim after you've been called out for the shitty stuff you've done. Love it. That's anti-woke as it gets. It's a little bit metaphoric, but my God, is it good. The bikers from the 3rd episode make another appearance, interfering with Dwight's, I'm going to call him Dwayne at some point, with Dwight's business. Which is a bad choice. And is thoroughly reinforced as a bad choice towards the end of the show. Which kind of brings up a couple of the surprises. There's one point... Well, the first surprise that I had was that Dwight didn't just kill Manny on the get-go. The second surprise was that he actually gave him a job. Well, didn't exactly give him a job. He didn't really give him a choice. But after that, then there's a moment with Tyson and his father, which you expect. And then there's another surprise a little later where Badface shows up again. And Badface is... You kind of think, okay, maybe there's going to be some bit of tension between him and Badface, Dwight and Badface. There's not. Badface is a fucking brute. But, yeah, Badface is definitely, and obviously I mean this is no insult to anybody, a primitive thinker. In that he just wants to go and scrap. Which, okay, yeah. But then he is very carefully... he's very careful to make sure that Dwight understands he is grateful for the opportunity to kick the shit out of people. I do really like that character. I won't lie. There's that visceral, violent manhood in there. There's a further surprise in that scene where Mark shows up and basically tells Tyson that he's going with them. And there's a moment of, are they or aren't they going to kick the crap out of each other between Mark and Dwight. Dwight makes it very clear that a man makes his own choices and happily accepts Mark's presence. Little later, there's an unsurprising moment where Mark refuses to take money for his help. He was there to help his kid. There's a great there's a moment of dialogue that is absolutely awesome. Where Mark says he's going with them. Dwight looks at Tyson and goes, "You serious?" And Mark cuts Tyson's response off and says, "Are you a father?" to Dwight. Dwight goes, "Yeah." And Mark's response is, "Then why are you asking questions you already know the answer to?" Yeah. Solid daddist vibes right there. I like it. And then there's a bit of a surprise later, but it's not that much of a surprise if you actually look at Mark's character up to this point, where Mark basically tells Tyson, you always have a home if you choose to have one. Basically saying, you can keep living this life, but you're not welcome at my house if you're going to do that. It's good, solid, stern fatherhood. And he basically leaves Tyson with the choice. There's no indication as to what choice Tyson made in this episode. Though I suspect he won't be going home. That's my suspicion. It's not really a prediction, just something I think might happen. There's more great character development with Stallone, and Stallone showing his dramatic chops, where there's a scene where he FaceTimes his brother who's dying of cancer. And again, these are spoilers. But there is a great moment where, without making a big show of the emotion, Stallone conveys to the audience really, really deep feelings about the situation. And a little bit of conflict. There's a scene with the ATF agent, whose name I've completely... Stacy. Where she goes to another bar, gets picked up, shags a guy. Not really sure why they put that in to that extent. Though I suspect, A, they wanted to show a sex scene. Not that it was much of one. And B, they want to keep the audience guessing as to what role she's going to play later on. Good choice. I think it's a good choice. Let me see. At the end of the show, there's a line where Tyson basically says he's thinking about dyeing his hair amber. Okay, whatever. Which is essentially Dwight's response, like, be yourself. You're his employer, Dwight. And here's where I have the problem with it. He's already gotten his ass kicked. And he looked like a capable young man at the time when he got his ass kicked. Which was the bikers over the whole nitrous thing. But if he goes and dyes his hair blonde, or amber, he's not going to look any tougher. He's going to look less imposing. And while I can see how, excuse me, Dwight might be of the opinion that that's fine, the way I look at it would be that it makes you look like less of a... It makes the employment, or the employer of the person dyeing their hair, look a little less serious, let's say. A little more mess-withable, if you will. But, I mean, all in all, still a good show. Let's see. Oh. Towards the very end, I think. No. There's a great redemption scene for Manny. It is toward the end. Armand, or Armand, whatever pronunciation he's using. It does change during the show. His neighbor's dog has been crapping all over his lawn. He's essentially acted like an impotent man about it. But towards the end, he essentially straightens that out in a pretty emphatic manner. Yeah, I won't spoil everything. There's a great fight scene. Kind of a gang fight scene, which isn't bad. Where, obviously, Dwight is being set up to have to go against the bikers. Which isn't surprising. Two criminal organizations are not going to coexist in the same place. It's very rare. Other than that, it's a good show. I'm very much enjoying the show. Still recommend. Absolutely still recommend. This is the first of the second set of 3. I haven't decided if I'm going to start doing double ups on the episodes. I don't think I will, because I don't really want to have to take that many notes while I'm trying to watch, because I like to watch it all in one fluid go, rather than having to pause and move on, or pause, make a note, and then move on. Which I occasionally have to do with the show as it is. But have to do much more with film. Speaking of other media, once I'm done with Tulsa King, I've actually gotten my hands on the, I believe it's the entire run of the Marvel Razorline comic books that Clive Barker wrote back in the 90s. So if you remember the titles Hyperkind, Hokum and Hex, Ecto Kid, or Saint Sinner, you can look for me to start reviewing those before too much longer. I may do a review issue by issue, or I may just do the entire run, because they were very short series. Don't believe the entire line lasted more than a year. Yeah, and I've already read the first, how did they put that? I think it was a sampler, they called it, which was basically just the introductory book, which was more of a glorified advertisement than anything else. Let me see. Out of 10 this episode for Tulsa King, I would say Not as good as some, so we're probably knocking it down to an 8. I'd say an 8 is fair. And, I mean, anything above a 6.5 from me is a recommendation. Go ahead and watch it. You will enjoy it more than you won't enjoy it, as far as I'm concerned. There's great... this is very much a show for guys. And not your modern metrosexual kind of fellas. This is a show for heterosexual men who, in some ways, miss that 80s masculine aesthetic. And I would say it's less reminiscent of anything super action film wise, and much more like the old cop shows or the old cop movies. Trying to think something like the Untouchables, but with a bit more of a dramatic twist, which is kind of funny considering the Untouchables was supposed to be a drama. Yeah. In some ways, it's got some Western touches to it. One of the things, actually, I was going to mention, one of the Western touches, Dwight goes to a tailor to have his suits altered at one point. And the tailor attempts to talk him into wearing a Western-style suit and a Stetson. No. And Dwight's response is, no, this works. And yeah, that's a guy's response. It ain't broke. I ain't fixing it. Yeah. Anyway, guys, so that's my review for Tulsa King 4. Tulsa King 5 next week, obviously. This week coming, I believe, will be the fifth chapter, the final chapter of Yala. I may be wrong about that. It may only be chapter 4. But no, it will be the 5th. And then next week it will be the compilation, once I get that edited. After that, I'm kind of at a loss for things to read for a little bit. I still have another piece from Cass, but I want to take a little break from that. So what I'm thinking is I may do a speech. So if you guys have a speech from history or from film, books, whatever, my email is in the description. Feel free to hit me up with an idea. Let's see, what else have we got going on? Oh, tonight you will see me on Discordant Dragons with Yiz the Eunuch. And what else have I got going on? I can't think of anything else right now. That's out of the ordinary anyway. Yeah. So yeah, I will see you guys tomorrow for Terra Nova Tuesday. Later this evening for Discordant Dragons. And of course, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, the regular stuff. And Saturday again for Sultans. And hey, Sunday's another live stream. Okay. Speaking of the live stream, if you have a topic you'd like me to cover on the live stream, feel free to drop me an email. Put in the subject line, idea for Sunday's live stream, something of that nature. Tips. Even just put the word tips in there. Other than that, I'm up to 192 subs on YouTube. Oh my god, I cannot believe that's happening. I appreciate you guys all so much. I'm up to 40 on Rumble. If you're interested in watching my stuff on Rumble as opposed to YouTube, by all means, transfer over to Rumble. Feel free to sub to both my channel and my account. I don't know what Rumble is doing for that. I don't quite have a great grasp on how Rumble works. But I know that if you subscribe to both, you will definitely get all the notifications. And I'll be aware of how many subs I have. Anyway, I hope you guys are all doing well. I hope you're having a good day. I hope you continue to have good days. And of course, as always, rise and rise again until lambs become lions. Bye-bye.